And, but.
It's not gonna work.
And, but. Okay, then. I don't want to hear it. I don't know. And we should be going. David, whenever you're ready.
Matt, can you hear us? Okay,
Okay, great.
I couldn't tell if he was typing in the chat or if he was.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is now 5:06. Today is the 12th of November, and it is the November meeting of the Salem Library Advisory Board. Why don't we do a quick roll call, starting from those library members who are in the room. I'm David Levy. I'm the chair of the Salem Library Advisory Board. And to my left,
Kara Filsinger. Valerie Harris.
Resident of Salem, Becky Gleason.
Mike Psyche.
Stephanie Hampson, Access and Acquisition Supervisor.
I'm Sonia Somerville. I'm the Programming and Outreach Supervisor.
and Mark.
Mark Weinstein, staff.
Great.
And I'm Oliver Hart. I'm here representing the Teen Advisory Board.
And joining us online,
Matt Jobson, board member.
hey Matt.
All right.
Well, welcome everybody. We've done introductions, and thank you all, and thank you to our guests as well. Now we can take a look at the minutes that were enclosed in the packet that were sent to us. Are there any changes or additions? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion made by Clyde. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Valerie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Great. Now we're welcome to public comments. We have a person here who is from the public. I know they weren't planning to testify, but I didn't know if you had any comments you wanted to make.
I'm just concerned about the word that the budget committee might be closing the library down. And I just want to be here to promote it staying open. It's a vital facility for the city and for the community and the residents. And it was one of the factors that led me to purchase a $500,000 home in Salem. So I'm paying my taxes and I want to see it operating.
Thank you for your comments. Any questions for our guests? Okay, next we will go to informational items. Put the Teen Advisory Board member on the spot. Welcome.
All right. Hello. My name is Oliver Hart. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm a senior at the Early College High School. And the Teen Advisory Board recently appointed some new officers. We now have a new round of officers, which happens every year. Students take on those leadership positions within the board. In addition, we recently had some very exciting donations to the Take What You Need project. The community donated around $2,500 worth of supplies, including deodorant. I believe we got an 18-month supply of toothbrushes, diapers, sanitary products, so many amazing donations. The Teen Advisory Board just put together a display and post about that just this weekend. In addition, tomorrow at our meeting, Jim Shepke is, sorry, am I pronouncing that right? Shepke will be coming to speak to us about the library's budget concerns and how we can help as the Teen Advisory Board. Upcoming in November and December, we will be helping out with Magic at the Mill, helping with the library's booths and displays there. We have a lot of excitement around that. A lot of Teen Advisory Boards are excited to help volunteer. And recently, a few weeks ago, Teen Advisory Board members also helped with one of the children's activities. We volunteered to help with the Jellyfish and Narwhal party. I was there and it was so much fun. As of now, one of our main priorities is planning future activities. We just got a survey back from teens who participated in the summer reading challenge about what activities they'd like to see and what they would like to have at those activities. So we are taking that information to plan activities moving forward that will really benefit the teens of Salem, one of which is a fan art exhibit we are creating the proposal for at the moment. So are there any questions about that?
Is there anything for the Take What You Need project that you still are looking for?
I would say that's something we can always use donations in our sanitary items like pads and tampons. I don't think we had many of those donated. Sonia, are we lacking?
We have a pretty good backlog of
Okay,
those.
it's a backlog.
We
So-
did not receive so far any of the little glasses wipes, like the defogging wipes. Those so far have not appeared from our wish list. So if somebody was looking to fill a gap.
Yeah.
There's one.
Okay.
And that's all.
Eyeglass wipes, is that what you mean?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's an
There's an
Amazon
Amazon
wish
wish list that makes it very easy to purchase and send straight to us. Also, the little packets of Kleenex, it always feels so important to me right now at the beginning of this season.
Yeah.
Like, who wouldn't love to have a little packet of those with them?
And I'm sorry, you said they're on the website?
There's an Amazon wish list.
There isn't.
Yeah. And
Oliver, you said you did a social media post about it?
Yes, so I don't know if that is up as of yet. It is
Oh, it's
not
through the,
up.
Okay.
it's through the library.
Yes, it's through the library.
it'll be on the library's social media.
Cause that might be something to just tag on to the end, you know, we're.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Still need.
You can always
wish
donate.
list
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Okay, and if you don't wanna use Amazon, can we just,
Absolutely. Yeah, you can buy from any vendor. The Amazon wish list, the most powerful thing is we can always push to the top the things that we're looking for the most. So we like to, but we love it if people use it as a reference.
it's a reference of what's
Yeah.
needed?
Awesome.
That's good.
And what's the booth at the middle?
Oh.
What is the focus like?
We need to do this one.
Yes.
So,
Because I believe it's crafts, but I don't know specific crafts that it shows.
so the Willamette Heritage Center this year for Magic at the Mill invited community partners to build sections, like to have a little area of Magic at the Mill that is created by that group. So we took one of those sections and we've created a beautiful little winter landscape with snowmen and blue and white lights. And our section happened to include a nice little gazebo. And so with a very sturdy table and all sorts of nice accoutrement. And so we took that as a challenge to include an activity in our space. So that's where Teen Advisory Board members will be joining. Stephanie and I actually are splitting the nights of Magic at the Mill. And so in addition to seeing beautiful lights as they walk through, they can stop and do a small book related craft at our table as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, hopefully lots of good conversations with our community too.
Any other questions for the Teen Advisory Board? Thank you very much for being here today.
Couldn't tell you we're winging it at all.
I was gonna say, they are very
You're
well.
doing a great job, so thank you,
Yeah.
and
Very
you're
much.
welcome obviously to stay. But we understand if you have other priorities. So next is the chair's report, which is my report. A number of items to kind of go over with you. First of all, as a follow-up to our board retreat from last month, there are two issues that we had talked about. One is as kind of our priorities for the year. One is funding, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then second is to help kind of put together a workbook for new and continuing LAB members on the role of the library board and as well as the duties of advisory board members. And so I know we received some materials. You should have all received materials from the Oregon Library Association of what the responsibilities are. I encourage you to print that out and have a copy available. And then Valerie, I was going to turn it over to you. I know you were working with a couple of
Yes.
members. I don't know if you have an update now.
Kara
and Clyde both thankfully said that they would work with me. We haven't met yet, but the plan moving forward, I know it's holiday season, so this is where it gets tricky. The three of us will meet, so we have to be careful with numbers, and we will draft. You've done this before. I think you have some history in that.
Like
And
you, I'm sure it is.
and as being new members, we have a perspective that is real time, like, hey, we just came on the board and what are we doing? So we will work on that and then we will update at the next meeting in January is my plan,
Thank you.
because we don't have a decision.
So I just have a question for the attorney.
Yeah.
in the room. One of the first meetings I had, Jim Shepke was here and he shared information about kind of where we rank as far as funding. Is that information that we can provide? Like, I forgot what Jim's comment was, but where we rank as a county? Because I mean, it's factual, it's not political, we're not making a statement. I would just remind you that when you're acting in official capacity as the library advisory board, you are an extension of the city of Salem.
Okay.
So distributing information on behalf of the library advisory board should be information that
We've taken a position on.
is that the city of Salem. If you're representing that you're providing this on behalf of the library advisory board, it should be information that is provided by or acceptable to the city of Salem. If you want to hand out information as an individual, not as a representative of the library advisory board, you certainly can. But if you're acting as an official of the library advisory board, it should be information that the city of Salem stands behind. Okay. Now, that's different when you are telling city council what the recommendation of the library advisory board. So you're advisory to the city council and you are, when acting officially, you're part of the city of Salem. So if this library advisory board wants to make a recommendation to the city council that in their budget process, they should fully fund all the library needs, you as a board have voted on that and taken official position that you make that representation, you can go do that to the city of Salem council that you're advising them they should do it. But then ultimately it would be the city council's decision as to what they want to do with their budget. But if you're going to be distributing literature on behalf of the library advisory board, it certainly shouldn't be literature. It should be stuff that's either provided to you by city staff or that you have had city staff vet with the city manager that they're okay with you distributing. Okay. Sorry, being so.
No, when I was working for the state, I got drilled into me, always run this by DOJ before you release it publicly. And there are many times I was happy I did that.
Now that is different than when Mr. Shepke came in and he provided documents that those documents that were distributed should have been retained, and if somebody wants to know what the documents were that were provided to the library advisory board, that's information provided to the library advisory board. That's factual. That's different than saying, here, the library advisory board wants you to consider this. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So.
yeah, got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
And thank you, Claude, for your question. If the record would show that Dana has just joined us, so welcome. Thank you for coming on. Can you hear us okay? Great. So thank you, Valerie, and we'll look forward to that report in January. So the second part of the issue is funding. We determined at our last meeting that is a high priority, both in terms of working with leadership of the city as well as other stakeholders in Salem to try to figure out how we can get in the short term funding necessary for the library to continue, as well as long term, how to get a stable funding source and base for the library. So there are a number of things I'd like to bring up today, and now that we have quorum, we can have a discussion on it. First of all, I would like to entertain a motion that it is the recommendation of the Library Advisory Board that the library be fully funded for FY 26, which is starting in July of 2025.
Is fully funded current funding?
That's
fully
current,
funded?
we can have a discussion.
Okay.
I'm just making the
Okay,
motion and
yeah.
we can discuss the details. So I've made the motion. Is there a second?
I think that would fully funded.
I'll second it.
I can make the motion and we can have the conversation. Is there a second?
Yeah, Matt, was second.
Matt, okay, discussion.
Once fully funded.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
that's in the eye of the beholder. But we can talk about what that is. Do we want to say at its current level? Or do we want to say at some of the recommendations that were provided by Jim and by others? I would say at the current environment that my recommendation would be that we fund it at the current level that we're at.
I would be more comfortable with that, just based on the survey results that the city council got, which were disappointing, but it's not a friendly environment or a big ask. And I think there's work that needs to be done to get the big ask on the supportable in the community, and that's just where we're at now. So I would be comfortable with current level.
So adding to the motion at its current funding level.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the second comfortable with that? Yeah. Any other discussions?
No, I think that's a fair.
Yeah.
Ask.
Okay. So if there are no further discussions, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I didn't press the mute button soon enough, but I meant to say aye.
Okay, no worries, I saw you blink, so I figured as much. Thank you very much for that. I will take this motion and work with library staff, and we will get this distributed both to the budget committee as well as to city council and city leadership, so that we are on record with that.
A quick thing before we send that over, I know Clyde was talking about maybe putting in the information from that since this is a recommendation to the city council, we can add pertinent information as to why we think it should be funded to that level. So should we put together not just our recommendation, but why we're recommending it?
I think we can, but in light of the comments from Mark, I would just want to double check that this information that Jim provided us got sign off from the city. In other words, that they verified the numbers.
Well, we're not distributing it to the public. We're giving it to the city for their
Okay.
consideration. So I don't think they have to sign off on that.
What does need to be approved by the board is if you're going to author something for them as a representation of the entire board, that needs to be ratified by the board. So
Can we give that authority to a committee? Can we vote on giving the?
If you have certain parameters to it.
So I'm sorry, Mark, is your concern that any document, like if we send a letter, that has to be approved, or?
Yeah, you can't just write a letter and say it's on behalf of the entire library advisory board unless the library advisory board has looked at it and approved it. So no.
Or they could give us authority to do that.
I would recommend against library advisory board saying we give whoever blanket authority to author a letter if they want to say to author a letter containing the following information. So it's generally understood what's going to be in there. That's one thing. Otherwise, I would recommend that the letter be written in draft form, brought and discussed and approved.
So if I could we do that with an understanding that it'd be reviewed, since we're not meeting until January? So that we could review via email and get an email vote?
You cannot take action via email, it has to be done in a public forum. So either you need to discuss certain items that, with the budget committee, I don't remember the schedule of the budget committee.
Yeah, so January meeting.
I either have sort of the parameters of what will be in the letter, and then it's just a wordsmithing thing, or else bring it to the January meeting.
Do we have time to do that tonight, do you think?
I think the only thing really we need to put in there is that we want to recommend that we fund the library at the current.
And that's all I was gonna do.
And then I think include and I think we can all agree that we can include the information that was given to us about how well funded the other libraries in the state are. Correct? I think those are the only two things that we would need.
Could we include that as background information?
I would recommend saying we were provided the attached information by this. It has not been verified by the library advisory board.
And I would want to verify the data from,
And that's fair.
not that I don't trust Jim Shepherd, but he's an advocate and
Sure.
you can change numbers to suit your needs.
So it sounds like we have approved the motion, and we will include some backup documentation with an understanding that this hasn't been vetted yet by the library advisory board
Well,
or staff.
Or by the city?
the motion was to recommend to the library, to the budget committee and city leadership that in fiscal year 2025-26, the library continue to be funded at current levels.
Yes.
That was the motion that was approved.
Yes,
There was no discussion about providing backup documentation, or that was not part of the motion to provide backup documentation, or what backup documentation would be provided. That I feel needs to be.
okay, so would you recommend a second motion then?
Can we modify, how do we do that?
If
Modify?
you do another motion, I would refer to what specific documents you want to include, if things along those lines, so everyone has an opportunity.
So, do I hear a motion to include some backup documentation that was discussed?
Okay, well, I think. Can I jump in here? I think he's asking for, like, I make the motion that we will provide a written statement backed by the library advisory board to the city council or to the budget committee that says we would like in the fiscal year of 2025 and 26 to be funded. Our ideal would be to be funded at the current level and include the documentation from Jim Shepke to back that up, which has not been vetted by the city. Does that check all the boxes?
Close enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
I second that.
That's good.
Is there a second?
I wanna make sure I'm doing it right.
Matt,
Yeah.
I seconded it.
Okay, Matt, second, thank you. Discussion,
That makes it much more clear.
okay.
And I'm fine with including his as reference material, but not in, I just want to make sure it's not an endorsement from us.
It's totally
The
fair.
accuracy.
No, our endorsement is of the funding.
Correct.
Yes, yes.
Totally
Okay.
comfortable with it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Virginia, all those, any opposed? Great, thank you guys very much. Second item, and this may be one that we discuss now, but we finalize in January. Is I would like to propose, let me back up here for a minute. We received a library funding report today. We have about $170,000 in funds for the library. One of the recommendations for us to consider at a retreat last month is that we have to look at ways of, we should strongly consider ways of distributing that money.
If you need a library card, please go to the nearest service desk. Please visit again during our regular business hours. Thank you. Buenas tardes, les quisiéramos contar que el biblioteca va a cerrar en 30 minutos. Si gustaría tomar materiales prestados, por favor, diríjase al escritorio de servicio o a las estaciones de autoservicio. Si necesita abrir una cuenta nueva, por favor, diríjase al escritorio de servicio ahora. Visítenos nuevamente durante nuestro horario regular. Gracias.
So my recommendation would be that we come up with a plan to distribute that money over the next 3.5 years to a dedicated fund for the Salem Public Library to offset potential losses that could occur from a result of any budget reductions. And what I'm recommending is that we, over the next 3 years, set aside $50,000 a year in a special Salem Public Library fund that would go towards offsetting whatever reductions in staff or equipment or any other costs that may have to be potentially reduced. Given the lateness of the hour, I'm thinking I'd like to put that on the table, give us a couple of months, and then discuss that fully and vote on that in January, with the idea that those funds would be starting to be available in July of next year.
I would strongly recommend that members of the Library Advisory Board pose concepts of what they're thinking about doing with that fund to staff. So staff can meet with I can't remember the analysts who know the parameters of the fund so that you don't vote to use that fund in a way that is not allowed.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. My vision is I want to lay it out now and then maybe look at appointing 1 or 2 members to serve on a kind of a working committee that can meet maybe in December and January to talk about kind of what those parameters might look like. And then meet with staff and give them our recommendations on how we'd like to distribute that. My hope is that we'll also partner with the Friends and the Foundation, have them contribute as well, but I think somebody has to take the lead here in the dance. And so I'm saying that we need to kind of put some money on the table, but yes, absolutely, we need to meet with staff. And we've got some time to kind of work out some of these details. But I want to lay that out now and maybe an ask, are there 1 or 2 members that would have some time in the next couple of months, kind of help work out some of that language and chat with Mark if we need to kind of work out some of that. And then we're going to the holidays.
I have a question. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So we would be potentially taking $50,000 from our fund and putting it into a different fund with maybe money from the other 2. I thought we couldn't use our money towards staff, like retention. Am I correct on that?
We can negotiate.
I don't know
Okay.
the parameters of the fund.
Okay.
Which is why I strongly recommend that you have some concepts and see which of those concepts are and are not allowed under the terms of the fund.
Okay, and then analysis.
Sure, and I think that's fair. The direction that I've gotten from the when I broached this with the city manager, and I don't want to hold them to it necessarily, but is I think, you know, we could sit down and negotiate with them in terms of what our funds could be used for, what other funds could be used for. Because what I'd like to do is have a dedicated fund that city staff knows this is a dedicated fund to use for. My goal would be to offset whatever potential reductions there would be. And if that be for staffing or for other items. But but part of the reason I'm saying is that would be a priority for those funds over the next 3 years. So if we get other project requests, we're gonna have to look at those very seriously, because this would be my recommendation for our for what we use those funds for.
And is there a benefit to getting rid of the money that we have? I mean, aside, I'm not saying that funding, like, you know, workers is not the priority. That was not my intent at all. But if in 3 years we wouldn't have money and then we couldn't fund anything is my thought. So
I think that's a good question. And I think there are 2 things. I think one is that we are unique among libraries in Oregon and around the country of being a library advisory board with funding. So it's not a perfect marriage. Usually those funds go to a foundation or friends. So it's not, I mean, it's not necessarily part of our core function. One. And and so I think that's the major issue is that, and the second thing is that the library is facing some significant financial challenges. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to have that money sitting there if we, can't
Yeah,
keep
if
it.
we could use it. Mhm.
Yeah, so
Thank you. I just wanna make-
did that answer?
Yes,
Any other questions?
I guess it would be helpful for me just, and if, depending on the time commitment, I could serve on that working group, but with these funds that the lab holds, did we have parameters with those? Are there already like prescribed allowable or unallowable uses that we should know of? I haven't heard anything like that, but I'm just curious. And then the other thought is if they're normally the advisory boards don't have funds, but organizations like the Friends or the Foundation do, then could there potentially be more benefit of having the funds go to either the Friends or the Foundation to continue their work, or is there a greater benefit of it directly going to the library for operational costs? Just throwing that out there as a question.
Good, Dana, good question. To answer your first question, one of the things that I worked on when I first came on the board was set up parameters for how those funds are to be used. And primarily those funds are to be used for the benefit of the library with the consent of library staff and library director. So whatever projects we receive has to have an internal buy-off before we move forward with it. So and then I can send you, there's some specific language that we have for projects that folks have to meet. And remind me your second question.
So, like you mentioned, the Friends and the Foundation
Oh,
would
yeah.
normally be the organization. Okay.
So I'm sorry. So my understanding, and we would need to get legal verification of this. My understanding is those funds cannot be transferred to the Friends of the Foundation without city council approval. So that could be an option that we could just divest ourselves of all that money or make a recommendation to city council that we divest that all that money and give that directly to the Friends and or the Foundation. I'm not sure how much sense that makes, but that is something I suppose we can ask for a legal opinion on.
It's gonna go to library staff to consult with the fund manager.
Okay.
Not legal.
Okay, so I guess we can make that ask, in terms of what, if any, restrictions there are on the fund. Other questions? Well, it sounds like, Dana, did you volunteer?
whether you want to.
Yeah, I did.
And is there one other
I
volunteer?
will, yeah,
Okay, Valerie,
that
okay.
interests me.
Okay, great. I'll email you guys, and we'll find some time to get together.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Those are the two big asks. Just one other reminder, we have a tour scheduled with Senator Patterson and Representative Anderson for the 18th of December at 11 o'clock. If you're able to make it, please contact the office here so we know how many folks are here for the tour. Other than I think that, one other item. Yeah, I just got an email today. I don't know, Sonia, if you're aware of it, the open house that's scheduled for the improvement project out here. Okay, so it's scheduled for December 3rd. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be out of town. It's December 3rd from 5 to 7:30. Here, if, I will forward it through staff to set it out. If someone could make it, on my behalf, I would greatly appreciate that. So that's the 3rd of December. And then, just the last item, just a reminder that we will not have a December meeting. So our next meeting will be, 2025, and the new year, will be January 8th. Great, well, that's my report. Is there a city librarian's report, anything other than what was submitted?
Yeah, no. Bridget, of course, sends her regards, but was not able to be here tonight. And so her report is attached to your agenda, with lots of fun details about things we've been up to. If you have any questions about anything, I can do my best to answer them.
Any questions for staff? Any questions online?
Matt, your dog looks like he has a question.
Yeah, you should bring your dog to the meeting, that's not
He has
fair.
two and they're
I
so.
wanna meet these.
He's
dogs.
questioning why there's a pizza man at our door.
And I think we're gonna meet in Dana's office with the ocean view there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, come to Hawaii with me.
And I don't have a friends report. Did you get a friends or a foundation report? I would say I know they've had a fairly successful library drive, so here, so went very, very
The
well.
book sales.
Yep, did very, very well.
Quite well.
And I will also tell you that that I'm meeting fairly regularly with the president of the Friends and the new president of the foundation, talking about the library situation, what we can do to help with that. So, and with that, I'll turn it over. Is there a kind of a final summary report?
There is,
Great.
there's a whole big report.
Yay!
Yes, I am gonna share my screen, wish me luck. And we are going to look together. Yep, at a report from our interns, to remind you all, or those of you who weren't here and may not be aware. We had 4 summer interns, high school internships this summer, here at our library. 2 of those were funded by the Library Advisory Board. And since they all kind of ran together, I just brought a report on all 4 because it's very exciting. And so those internships terminated between like the end of August and the end of September. We had a wonderful time with all 4 of them. They were each with us for between 9 and 10 weeks. And to review the basic structure. So they were here to help us with library tasks. They supported a lot of program preparation and supported, were there for outreaches and programs that we did, kept them very busy. And then they did job shadows throughout the library. So they had an opportunity to learn about the library work of all different kinds of people who contribute to our library. And each of them was tasked with identifying a connected learning project, sort of a passion project that they had, something that they wanted to explore with the community and with me as their mentor. And then there was a person from our staff who collaborated with them to support them kind of figuring out how to make that available to the public. So they'll each talk about those projects as we go forward. So this is Lou Gonzalez Orozco, who is now a freshman at Chemeketa Community College. And I noted that she's a big library user and really wanted to work in the library. I will say, interestingly, but here we go. We're closing. 2 of these folks were big library users, and 2 of them hadn't been here since they were children. And so it was fun to see what they all learned as we went through the summer together.
Thank you. Buenas tardes.
One more note.
Recordar que la biblioteca
We're closing. It's gonna be great.
Si gustaría tomar materiales prestados.
Okay, so these are the slides that makes it very, very small.
Si
So it's not in your way. There we go. I'm gonna pop them down here. Definitely lots of notes gained a wider insight into how passionate staff members are about the work. Yes, we are. And also learned about the importance of outreaches and had some experience with the budget problems that the library is facing, which we all talk about quite a bit. All right, so there's videos embedded. Wish me luck. What were you most excited about? This is the question she's responding to you about what you got to do during the internship.
During the start of my internship, I was able to visit Mary Eyre along with the children's librarian Jessica. Riding along in the bookmobile, we brought the summer reading challenge to children participating in the migrant education program at Mary Eyre Elementary School. It was really nice to see children be excited about reading and pick out books of their own to take home and really participate in this reading challenge. And it was definitely one of my favorite outreaches that I got to participate in this summer. During the start
Okay,
of my
it
internship,
has a way of wanting to repeat itself. Okay, so there it is. And now we asked, so what surprised you as being part of our library venue?
I was very surprised by the number of jobs and careers offered here at the library. Before this internship, I had come to think that library jobs had to be solely focused on books. However, after job shadowing senior staff here, I learned that jobs actually range from technical IT to community outreach programming, budget management, and purchasing. Even so, librarians' jobs here at the library range from more than just book collections, as they also help to plan events and other community outreaches. I was very surprised.
It's hard to get it to do that. So Lou's Connected Learning Project, she set a goal of increasing awareness of library resources by Spanish-speaking communities in Salem. Her collaborator was Adrian Sanchez, an adult services senior library assistant. And this is what she ended up doing. So she wrote 5 radio scripts for Radio Pardar for short radio advertisements that we are paying to have put into production and actually air on the radio. Library services in general, library of things, youth services, cultural passes, and English classes were the services she chose to focus on with those ads. So we're excited to see the results that may have. She also created a book list that highlighted our Spanish picture book collection, and that book list is now on display and available for people to take in the Spanish children's collection. So she asked about the skills that she learned from being with us in this internship. She talked about collaboration, about learning and asking questions, the value of asking questions. I really encourage them to ask and ask and ask, and also a lot of multitasking and time management. A lot happens here. Things move very quickly, and sometimes you have to switch from thing to thing rather unexpectedly. So it was, those are all things that I would say would help her in any endeavor she goes to for her next job. So what would you say to a friend considering applying for this internship? Lou's conclusion.
I would say that there's a lot of different pathways and interests for everyone in the library. I was really excited to see what the other interns focused on for their connected learning projects. And I think it really showed how the library embraces creativity for events and programs that help to reach wider audiences and interests in the community. I would say that there's a lot of different.
Okay, So our second intern was Jocelyn Contreras, a rising senior who has returned to McKay High School now. Just wanted to do something productive this summer and did not want to make videos. So we're so this is a totally written report. An unforgettable and valuable experience, which is a wonderful way to describe it. We had a great time getting to know Jocelyn, meeting lots of wonderful people, and we're very welcoming and nice, and I love hearing that. So events and outreaches were a favorite thing of almost everybody here. And this is a picture of Jocelyn at an outreach with Jessica toward the end of summer. Also has really big memories of helping with an alcohol inks program with Christy Kemper Hodge with teens. It was very complicated. There were a lot of kids who attended. Things got kind of wild in there, but they were able to help all of the students have success. And it was one of the first things all the interns helped with in real time. And they were all pretty proud of themselves for just surviving really and thriving in that environment. Jocelyn's Connected Learning Project was connected with her interest in movies. So she created a March Madness style bracket of 32 movies that have been adapted from books and invited the community to help vote in rounds to choose the best book to movie adaptation ever. That was available both in paper in the library and on a Google form online. So people had very flexible ways of accessing that. It was wildly popular. So 200 to 250 people participated week after week. The final day, we had people calling and saying, has it been posted yet? It was very exciting.
Oh, I love it.
Her collaborator was Chandra Smith, an adult services senior library assistant who does similar programming. They did a great job. And there's the winner, the Princess Bride. That's Salem has declared. That's the best one. And with her internship over, Jocelyn is one of the students who has not been a particularly big library user and has really seen all of the ways in which the library might figure in her life future. We've seen her here, so I know it's working. And again, just enjoying that she feels very grateful for that opportunity. And that is for you because y'all funded it and made it happen. Charlie Davis was our third intern, a rising senior, now back as a senior at McNary High School. Charlie actually wants to be a librarian, and he really wanted to have this opportunity to explore what the job was actually like, and got it. Okay, more videos.
Through many chances to shadow important people and see a glimpse into how their job functions, I feel like I have a much better understanding of what goes on behind the scenes at the library. There are many jobs that I didn't realize were so important and essential to keep the library running the way that they should. I hadn't even really learned anything about cataloging, people who do that kind of stuff, until I had a chance to shadow them at the library. And that's a very, very important thing that I learned. In addition to that, I learned how essential library services are. Being so often in the library, I got to see the variety of people that come in here for a variety of services. Being a free and space, we get the chance to serve every possible community in Salem, which is giving me a new perspective on how involved the library is to the Salem community, how important it is for people in it, and how crucial it is that we keep giving out these services with the same work that we do now.
All right. Here we go. Go, what surprise Charlie?
I was surprised by the amount of community outreaches the library does. I learned a few during the length of my time as an intern. It's very cool to see that the more underserved communities in Salem are still being reached by the library and community services. People who can't drive to the library, maybe it's out of the way. People who maybe just don't even know that we have a library. All those communities are still being reached, and I think that's very cool. My personal favorite outreach was going on the bookmobiles in the Migrant Ed program at Mary Air. Got to deliver the summer reading program to them. Furthermore, as a member of the Spanish-speaking community, I was surprised by the number of books in Spanish we have here at the library. I think it's very important that you have a robust Spanish collection. It's very
Please start checking your items out in the series of service that or
knowledge
self
sections.
checkout. Please click it again during the regular business hours. Thank you. Buenas tardes, les quisiéramos recordar que la biblioteca va a cerrar en 5 minutos. Si
All right.
gustaría tomar
What's
materiales
important to
prestados,
have
por
for the
favor, diríjase al escritorio de servicio o a las estaciones de
Some qualities and skills I think are
y sírvanos
this
nuevamente
internship
durante
or
los
organization. Shelving and pulling holds understandably makes up a big portion of this job. Therefore, I think organizational skills are very important. Customer service, this doesn't end up actually being a big part of the job, but it's an important part of the job nonetheless. I mean, you're going to be talking to patrons occasionally. The ability to work and collaborate with other people is also an extremely important part of the job. Most of the work we do is helping out career librarians with whatever they need done. Helping out with projects or like community outreaches that we do. So it's very important that you are able to follow direction from them, listen to what they have to say. Creativity and problem solving, critical thinking are also very important qualities that you need to create a successful connected learning project. A lot of it is following up with people, being able to solve problems that come up along the way. And obviously you need creativity to create a new connected learning project.
This is killing me. Okay. So this was Charlie's learning project.
My connected learning project was a presentation from OSU community horticulturist Brooke Edmonds on indoor gardening. The presentation is on August 31st from 2 to 3 in Anderson rooms A and B. In addition to the presentation, I made and gave away a small book of simple recipes that included various herbs that can be grown indoors. Things like basil, rosemary, lavender, all of those kinds of things. Just incorporating them into culinary recipes in a way that I thought was fun. We also did a seed giveaway and a raffle for 6 door prizes. Brooke Evans actually donated a couple of plants to give away as door prizes, which was very nice of her. 78 people showed up, and my main objective was to educate the public on how to grow an edible garden indoors. Not everybody has the yard space outside, and Brooke Edmonds suggested that we go with herbs as they're the most accessible to grow.
There we go. So yeah, it was a great community partnership. This is the cover of the recipe booklet that Charlie made. And the collaborator for that program was Alice McGugan, our adult services senior librarian, supported Charlie through that process. And then finally, we had Maya Rodriguez, a rising senior at West Salem High School, who of course has returned there to finish her senior year. And she was very excited about this because she'd helped in her elementary school and thought it would be great to find out what it was like to work at the public library. The big thing she learned is how crucial having a library is to the community. It's a place to check in and out books, of course, but also a safe space for people of any background to come and escape the struggles they may be experiencing. Love the way she put that. Her favorite parts, helping with events, the board game and puzzle swap stood out, Teen Jackbox games, other programs that she was able to help with. One of the challenges for Maya is that she is a fairly shy person and was a little challenged by asking to be kind of a representative and to talk with people, and was so successful and had a great time and really made some great connections. So I felt like that was a good outcome for her to see that she could have success in those interactive places. Her connected learning project, she wanted to talk about endangered animals and then focused in on endangered animals in the Pacific Northwest. She collaborated with Carol Rugebrecht, one of our youth services senior library assistants, and did 2 things. So she had a drop-in afternoon craft. Kids made little snakes and owls and had an opportunity to learn about the specific endangered creatures, the San Francisco garter snake and the northern spotted owl. There were so many cute kids. And Maya did a great job of teaching all of them how to do this. She also created this display in Children's Corner so that families could read and learn more, and created reading little trading cards for each of the 9 creatures she was highlighting, which gave kids a little bit of information that they take home and think more about these animals. Used a lot of communication skills, and that was a big development for her, design and computer skills. We do a lot of things in Canva, and she got to be very creative with this, and also worked on developing that ability to guide and help others during the actual drop-in craft program, learning good ways to encourage kids to finish those projects. So this is her big word. If you had a friend that was gonna apply for this internship, she would say it's an amazing experience and helps you get out of your shell. So I'm glad that it had that result for her. And thank you to the Library Advisory Board for supporting these internships. It was very meaningful for us and also for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? All right, thank you. Thank you, Sonia, for that presentation. We appreciate that. Then the last item I have, and I know we're running a little bit of time here. I'd like to at least print it out here, and then we can discuss it at our January meeting. It is a challenge to get everything we need to get done in an hour. There are things we can do to try to tighten it up, but it's still hard for us to get done in an hour. So one of the things I'd like to propose, and we've met in the past an hour and a half before there were changes in the hours here, is maybe push the meeting back to 4:30. And go from 4:30 to 6. And so I wanted to get a general sense here if that would meet. Would folks be able to at least either online or in person be able to make a meeting if we made it at 4:30?
Yes.
Yeah. Dana and Matthew?
It would be hit or miss for me.
Okay.
I'm pretty in control of my schedule unless like there's an emergency. So if in case of emergency, I wouldn't be able to make it.
Okay. Do advance notice make a difference, or it's just a meeting thing?
So for me, I do have a work meeting that I facilitate on the second Wednesday of every month, and it's from 3 to 4:30. So I would probably be able to make it virtually, and be a little bit late, most likely, just a couple minutes.
Yeah. Anybody else have any concerns? Well, I will pop an email to staff when they get back and just ask them the logistics of how that would work for us to consider, maybe not for the January meeting, but maybe starting the February meeting to give us some time. So with that, any other additional comments or questions?
I do have one other item that and maybe this can be tabled for later, but I know that the library did some really cool things over multiple months. There's different kinds of heritage months, and November is Native American Heritage Month. And I just was at the library over the last weekend, and I didn't see anything that displayed like Native American heritage or children's books with a Native American focus, like by Native authors, and anything specifically Indigenous. And so I was just wondering if there was going to be anything, and if that wasn't planned, just put a plug in that it's important, and not just because I'm a Native person, obviously it's important to me, but there's a really rich culture and heritage, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Dana. I know that there is a display in teen because I walked by it earlier today. of Indigenous authors. It was also the focus of our we submit a column to the West Salem newspaper each month, and Indigenous books were the focus of that for the month of November. I did think there was a display in children's, but I can't, or it's being planned. I can't.
So I mean, just to follow up on what
Be sure.
his request is, do you guys plan a year in advance for each month's? I mean,
Oh.
no, I mean, just, I guess what I'm wondering is, obviously, there are months like there is.
Oh, true,
Hispanic
yeah.
Native American month, and I'm assuming that you plan, I'm assuming.
I was just loving that you had so much faith in it.
And the reason I'm asking is that maybe in a follow-up to Dan's question is,
Yes.
if you know, like like starting in January, what you've got, these are the months that you're recognizing, these are some of the things you're thinking about doing.
Yeah, we do keep track of the months that are coming up and generally do align at least some of our displays with those like national months of recognition.
So maybe if just to take back to staff, if there were some displays, or we have some stuff, at least for Native American Heritage Month, you can relay that to us. And then if there are events happening, 6 months down the road or whatever, to let us know about those.
And there is a next week, I think, evening lecture at the library, Dana, on Native history.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Yeah, the tribal histories of the Willamette
Yeah.
Valley.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, we're going to that.
And that was planned to align
Yeah.
with November's Indigenous Peoples Month.
Thank you, Dana. Are there any other questions? Great. Well, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed?
Maybe the dogs are opposed, right?
The dogs want that pizza.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much. Happy holidays, happy new year, and I will see you in January.
See you then.